So yes, make sure that you have a quiz sheet because we're going to start with that. Okay? We're going to start with a little quiz to make sure it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I promise. It'll go quick. But I want to make sure that before we go on to the things tonight, that we're really, really, really clear on the things from last week, because all of this stuff that we're going to talk about kind of builds on itself. And because we are going at kind of an accelerated pace, because we only have 5 weeks to do this, I don't want us to go too fast so that we don't get the foundational stuff, okay? So try not to look on somebody else's paper as you do this. Do it yourself, and then we'll talk about it, because I want you to really know what you know, okay? This is just so that you know what you know. So, do what? It's not open book. I didn't even give you your new notes for tonight, so to entice you to cheat. But okay, I ain't no Vanna White. Sorry. Okay. Okay. All right. So let me talk you through your quiz. Okay. So you've got a sheet with 20. Can everyone see this? No. Shift so that you can see it. I'll kind of. Is that better? Okay. So your first two questions are, what is this symbol? There's two different names for us. That's why it's 1 and 2. Okay, so write that down. Just guess, and we'll see what you actually know. Yeah, oh yeah. You go ahead and do it now. They're up there. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a pencil? She is. I think I even put you on the attendance sheet. So that, and then the same thing for this symbol. 2 names for it, numbers 3 and 4. Okay. And then number 5 is, what are these lines and spaces called? What do we call that in music? You don't know which one it is, though. So then 6, 7, 8, and 9. What is the sentence or word? What's the mnemonic device that helps you remember? Number 6, what the lines in the treble clef are. 7, what the spaces in the treble clef are. 8, what the lines in the bass clef are. 9, what the spaces in the bass clef are. Okay? Grab a pen here. And by the way, while you're doing this, I gave you Kringle tonight. I gave you candy last week, and the winners of the games were given the opportunity to take all of the candy home. And, well, somebody did, because there was not a piece left for me. So I'm not bitter. I'm working through it. But just so you know, I had a piece of Kringle already. Anyway, so 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'm just teasing. No. You take it for your students. I don't need it at all. Number 10. What is used to help identify notes above or below number 5? So, talking about this thing, if we have a note down here or a note above here, what's the thing that we use to identify what that note is? Number 10. What is used to help identify notes above or below this thing? So you got a note up here, a note down here. Something has to be with the note so that you know what note it is. What is that thing? Yes.
I got one right.
You got it. Okay, and then I'll just tell you what the rest of it is and let you do it on your own. So numbers 11, 12, 11 through 15, name the note. So what note is above the number? Just list the letter of that note. Same thing over here for this one, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, so the green. And then your last 5, 21 through 25, tell me the letter of which note in each of these groupings is the higher note. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. So take a few moments to do that. Yep, the letter. Yep. So 11 through 25 will all just be a letter. And I'm having another piece of crinkle. Okay. Jeremiah, mute my eating off of the recording, okay?
Is number 17 supposed to be on the line?
17 is above, sorry. $18 is this one, 19, 20. Sorry. Yeah, so put the letter of the note that is higher between the two of those. How you doing? Few more minutes? Okay. How you feel? Are you close? If you're not done? All right. It's all right if you didn't get done. But we'll go through the answers. Grade your own, okay? So this symbol is called the treble clef or the G clef, right? And why is it also called the G clef? Because when you put it on here, the little curl here goes around the G line. Okay? All right. So you got treble clef or G clef, and you just write that just like that. I mean, it's okay. And then this is called the bass clef or the F clef, and that's because when you put it on here, the two dots are above and below the F line, right? Okay. So it's important that you know both of those names, and the reason why it's called G clef and F clef, because you can see similar symbols in music that are not the treble clef or the bass clef. You can see this maybe with something at the bottom or altered in some way. So always, most of the time, these are the most common. So you'll see these most often. But sometimes in weird music with lots of parts or in orchestral music, you'll see it differently. And then what's 5 called? Just the lines and spaces? Staff, right? Staff. Okay. What's a sentence to do the lines in treble clef? Yep. Every good boy does fine. Okay. And then the spaces in treble clef are what? Face. F-A-C-E. Lines in the bass clef are, what's a sentence for that? Yeah. You've got good boys do fine always. You got great big dragons fly around. You got great big dogs fight always. And then spaces in bass clef. All cows eat grass. All cars eat gas. Okay. And number 10, what's used to help identify notes above or below the staff? Ledger lines, right? Okay. That's like here, these lines here are, in addition to the staff, it extends the staff basically. Those are called ledger lines there. You've got them below the staff here and here. Okay. So then what are the names of the notes here? G.
D. G. No. Yes. Did I get it right?
Uh-huh. D. C. Yep. So remember, 2 lines above the treble clef or below the bass clef are C's, right? So like this. Or if we had down here, that would be a C as well. Okay? Then in the bass clef, we've got D, B. It's a terrible B. D, B, E, C, and D. Yep, so the bass clef once again, D, B, E, C, D. And then which of the 2 notes is higher down here, 21? B. And then E, C, G, D. Yes! Good. All right, this isn't to shame you, but how many people got over 20 right? 20 or over right? I'm just seeing to see. Okay, good. That's good. I just want to make sure that we're getting it. Any questions either from this or from anything from last week as you've gone through your notebooks?
Could you explain one more time about ledger lines?
So ledger lines are basically an extension of the clef, or the staff, So it's like, because there isn't a line here, because there's only 5 lines in the staff, if you need a note higher, you can add it so it functions as if, well, I'll just keep doing it on here, as if it's the staff. So for here, you have a G here. If you put 1 line and the note through it, it's A, do a line and then a note above it, it's B, and then you've got your 2 lines and it's C. Okay? So and you can keep going higher and higher. It's just harder and harder to count that many as you get up there. Same thing down in the bass clef. So you have your E, which is 1 line, your D below the line, and then your C. Now, is it okay if I erase some of this? We good on this? One thing, and this will kind of lead us into where we're starting tonight. Wasn't it so beautiful and color-coded, though? I mean... So let's draw the staff here. So you got your treble clef. I'll do bass clef here. I know next week I'll put the board up there so you guys can see better. If 2 people want to help me, I can put it up. Do you want to help me move it up a little bit? And then we can see it a little bit better? Yeah. Just don't fall or trip over anything or hit the piano. Lots of rules. There. You're good. We can come this way a little bit. Yep, you hit the piano. All right, is that better? That you can see it better? Okay. Let me do this. TV is expensive. I'm not going to knock that over. Okay. So if you have the treble clef, bass clef here, you can, ledger lines don't only work for going up here or down here. You can do, like, you have your middle C, but you can go above it, and that's, what would that be in the bass clef? D. Yep. So this note is the exact same note as if you wrote it up here. Okay? Does that make sense? So this note, because even though the line is down here, the line really functions as if it's this imaginary middle line between the bass clef and the treble clef. So if you're drawing this note as if that's the middle C line. Then the next one up is D. Well, there's only that, even though in most music there's a big gap between the treble clef and the bass clef, that's just for like words or any other thing that's there. Really, the gap is just 3 notes. The gap is your B, your middle C, and then this D, right? So there's only 3 notes separating these two, because then you have this line, which is your E. Or if you go below the B, your top line of the bass clef is the A. Does that make sense? So your lines for your bass clef, G, B, D, F, A. So if you go up from your line A, then you have your B. You go up higher and you have middle C. And you go up higher and you've got your D in your treble clef, because then your line's here, E, G, B, D, F. Okay? So then, if you're drawing, if you're singing in bass clef, and most of your music is just in bass clef, then instead of adding a whole nother staff with the treble clef, they'll just mark this D as if it's here in the bass clef. Okay? Because you still have your space B here, your line C there, and then your note above the line, which is D. Okay?
Why in like lesson 6, the ledger lines, does it show 2 ledger lines above and below? If you're saying that,
In lesson 6? Oh, because it's a treble clef.
and then but it's even also doing it into the F
Yep.
bass clef.
So your bass clef, this D right here, is the same as this D here. It's just circled in. And then your E, you could do the same thing for E as if you did 2 lines, right? So this is E in bass clef, which is this E in treble clef. It's the same exact note. It's just on the different staves when you say it in plural. So go ahead and your last sheet that I gave you last week is the grand staff. Turn to that sheet a minute, and hopefully this will make sense. Oh yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, I guess we can do that first. The answers to what number on 6? The whole thing? Uh-huh. So if you draw in number 1 on lesson 6, you've got C, G, A, B, D, C, B, A. Right? Is that good? And then if you do the bass clef number 2, that starts off D, C, F, B, E, E, F, D, C, B. Okay? Is that good? And then your 3 Ds are just one above the C's, right? Oh, I guess no, that's treble clef. So, let me bring this up here. So number 3, you've got your bass clef, and then you've got 3 Ds. So it would be a D is here, a D is here, a D is here. Right.
Here's the question: why are the 3 Ds in such close proximity to each other?
Well, they're not really that. It's not really that close. It's just how the alphabet repeats: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. So when you get to the 8th note, these are called octaves. An octave is an 8-note gap between notes. So there's 8 notes here, and there's 8 notes here. And that's just to show you the different sounds. So the low one is here, and then the next one up the middle line here, and then the ledger line above. So it's all those bum bum bum, or the octaves there. Okay. And then what do we have? Let me skip since I'm already in. Well, I guess there's not enough room there. So then your next one is treble clef, and you've got A's. So you have your C. So here's an A. Here's an A. Everywhere an A. A. Right? Okay. That makes sense? Then your E's and bass clef. So you've got E, E, and then E. Okay. And then, so does that make sense? Do you want me to do the rest, or is that?
Let me just ask one question. So basically, what we're saying is like with the face, it's you go 4, and then you restart the 4 again further up. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. That's.
Same with the lines.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So in other words, as we go up, you just go every good boy does fine, every good boy, you know.
Yeah.
So in other words, it just sort of it takes them out of the confines of the clef itself. It just keeps the pattern going.
Yeah. So what will happen though as you do that, because it's 8 notes and it's gonna be it'll as you go up the octave, it'll switch between being on a line, then a space, then a line. So as you go up, it.
Oh, it switches.
Yep. Because it's 7 different notes, so then it's got to switch.
Does it matter if we do all notes solid or not?
We'll get to that tonight. That's a good question. All right. So does that make sense with the ledger lines there? And then if you look at lesson 7, that grand staff, they give you the whole thing from the low C, and again, you can go lower than that C, up to the high C. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Cs. You've got 5 octaves of C there. Okay. All right. Let me erase all of this as we get ready. Oh, actually, while I do that, why don't I have a couple of you pass out stacks? Could you pass out? So I have them divided in stacks. So you take the top stack and then maybe pass some of those around. And then, so these are your stacks for tonight that you can add into your binders here. All right.
There could be a third staff, right? I mean,
Well, there isn't a clef for that. You would just use ledger lines. You can use infinite ledger lines until you get to the bottom of the piano, really.
Elaine wants me to
Oh,
get her notes.
great.
Oh, can I have one for Donna?
Yep.
She's not here, but she's planning on doing it on the,
Oh, yeah. Good.
Hey, Brennan,
Yes.
I didn't see. You asked
Okay.
for B's, and I only saw it. Thank you. Basically, this is where
Well, it would be below here.
I get tripped up on the bass clef, the ledger line.
Yeah.
I just can't. Those are the ones I got wrong on this thing.
That's all right. Does everyone get your notes? Anybody need some? Okay, good. Okay. So let me keep erasing here. So again, I gave you way more notes than I anticipate us getting through. So don't be discouraged if we don't get through everything, because the plan is not to. And the plan also is I gave you lots of sheets for just to work on at home. So to kind of reinforce what we're going through. Let me just find. Nope. Where's my handy dandy little agenda sheet? Is that? Where did I put it? Well, let me try to remember the announcements. So we are recording the class, and the first class is up online. How you access it, and I'll send this to you in an email too, is you go to YouTube and then just type in Racine Bible Church. I'll take you to the church's YouTube page. And then usually the most recent videos are right on the front page. But if you go to where it says playlists on Racine Bible Church, it'll take you, you'll see the class name, and then that will have all of the videos from all of the classes. But I'll send that to you. But if you YouTube and Racine Bible Church. Yeah. So if you subscribe to the Racine Bible Church YouTube page, then you'll get a notification when the new ones are posted too. Yes. All right. So this lesson, so I gave you notes that will go in after lesson 7, but let's talk about a couple of things here on lesson 7. And that is when you have the treble clef, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, when you have this thing, when you have these together, it's called the grand staff, okay? So when you see both of them together like this, it's a grand staff. And one of the ways, or a couple of the things that you need to know about the grand staff is that it will be connected by a bar line. So lines like this in music that go vertically are called bar lines, okay? It's at the top of your page there too. And then there will be a brace here. So we've got brace is the little swirly thing, and then the bar line is the line. So how music works when you, so when the choir sings, and you've got a soprano, you've got alto, you got tenor, you got bass, you've got people singing different parts, but at the same time. So like if we do a bass note here, and then tenor, and then the alto, and then the soprano. When music notes are written on top of each other like this, that means they're happening at the same time. So if you have a note here, or let's do a different note. Let's do F. So this note is all done together, and then you go to the next one, okay? So and when it's connected like this by a bar line, that means that it's all happening at the same time. If this, I should use the eraser. Where's the eraser? If they're not connected, if the brace isn't here, and it's like that, the line's not connecting the two, that means they happen differently. So you would read all the way across this one and then come down to this one. Okay, so that means that it will happen after each other. And like next week, I'll give you some actual copies of music and of choir music, and we'll look at that a little bit more closely. But just for now, if it's connected by a bar line and there's a brace there, that means it's all being played at the same time. Okay, and then we already talked ledger lines. We talked middle C is the one in between the two. So the rest of that you can do this week as you're practicing, but that's kind of the initial thing about the grand staff. Then the first page that I gave you tonight, the big page with, it's just a reminder page of the notes, okay, of the face and the lines, and then the spaces and the lines of the bass clef. Okay, so we won't do anything more with that. So last week we talked about the letters, the names of these notes, and talked about music as kind of learning another language. Tonight, music is not only a language, but music is really math. So hopefully that doesn't scare you. But tonight we're talking about the math side of music. So, do you need notes? Yeah. I just saw you pop in. Here's a little. So this is from last week, and then this is tonight's stuff. So tonight we're going to be talking about the math side of it. So the letters tell us what pitch, high or low, the notes are. tonight we're talking about the duration. How long do you hold notes for? Because obviously every note that you sing is not held out the same amount of time. Some are short, some are longer. So we're talking about this tonight, and this is a really, these are the two most pivotal things to grasp. Last week's note names, and tonight's the different types of notes. So you see on your page, and this goes to your question, Tom. They give us three different kinds of notes. First, you have a quarter note, which is a colored-in circle or oval with a stem on it. This is the quarter note. Make sure, memorize this. Repeat it 8,000 times. It will be on the quiz next week. And the quarter note gets one beat. Okay? Let's do this. Then the other kind of note is just like the quarter note, but it's open. It's not colored in. An oval with a stem, that's called the half note. And that gets 2 beats. Yep, this is lesson 8. Lesson 8. Yep, sorry. Yes. Yes, make sure you follow along because it'll make a lot more sense if you see it there. And then you've got just this without the stem is a whole note. And that gets 4 beats. I know you're thinking, wait, what about 3? We'll get there. But let's start with here. Quarter note, half note, whole note. Okay? You with me so far? You know those. Good. Oh, yes. No, this is like you have to know this stuff. Okay? What's that? Well, yeah, that's like lesson 15 or something. The other thing you see down there after it does a little bit of math, what equals what, you can see that. You see where it says time signatures? Time signatures are the numbers that you'll see at the beginning of all music. It tells you how many beats are in a measure and how many notes get 1 beat. So let me draw this here. 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have treble clef. That is wrong. There you go. And then it'll say 4, 4. So this is the time signature. Everyone say time signature. Okay. Time signature. That'll be on your test. In a time signature, it tells you there, the top number shows you the number of beats per measure. Okay? Number of beats per measure. And then the bottom number tells you how did they say it? What kind of note gets 1 beat? Yeah. What kind of note gets 1 beat? You're probably like, what? What does this mean? Well, let's talk about this. So first of all, you see a word up here that we've never talked about in our definition. Definitions are not helpful unless you know what every word in the definition means. So let's talk about this. A measure. What is a measure? A measure is, if you have your staff, and a measure has a bar line at the beginning and a bar line at the end. So it's like a little section of music. A measure is the distance between 2 bar lines. Okay? So maybe write that on the side too, because that's a really important word you need to know. The distance or the space between 2 bar lines. So this is saying, if in a 4/4 time signature, it's saying that between the bar lines, you're going to have 4 beats every time, okay? So really, I should have drawn it out longer. So like 5, 5. So you've got, it'll start here, then here, and here. So music is just a bunch of staffs with bar lines in it. So in 4/4, to do that, if a quarter note gets one beat, sorry if I'm blocking this, then you can put in here, there has to be 4 of those, right? Does that make sense? Because we said the top note means how many beats are in a measure, and it's 4/4, so there has to be 4 beats within a measure. So you can do that with 4 quarter notes. You can do that with 2 half notes. You can do that with 1 whole note, right? Because you've got 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. I missed a plus in there, I think. Or you have 2 plus 2, or you have 4, right? You see how that's all related? 1 beat there, 2 beats. Or you can even do, if we take that out, that works too, right? Because then it's 1 plus 1 plus 2. Does that make sense? So whatever notes you have, this is why it's math, it has every single between bar lines has to add up to 4. Otherwise, it's wrong. It's music. It's bad music. Throw it out. Okay? Now, the other thing here is, what's that? Why is a measure important? Because without it, you wouldn't know where the 4 has to go, right? Does that make sense? And one of the words, do I have it on here? Yeah. Another word that you should know is downbeat. And the start of the first beat of every measure is the downbeat. And in music, there is always more emphasis on the downbeat. So if these are 4 notes, la, 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 it's really la, 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 la. So it can be very subtle, but that's another reason why you have to have a measure, because then you know where the downbeat is, okay? And so when you put words to it, good songwriting will have the most important syllable on the downbeat and we'll see an example of this a little bit later. But that's a great question. Okay? So the other thing is the bottom, this was always kind of tricky for me, remembering this. The bottom number tells you what kind of note gets 1 beat. And that, like, if you treat this, stick with me on this. If you treat this as a fraction and you replace the first number with a 1, that's how you get. So if we replace this 4 with a 1, it's a quarter, right? What note gets 1 beat? The quarter note. If this bottom note, if this was a 4/2, well, now your quarter note isn't 1 beat, your half note is 1 beat. So this is a weird kind of example, but if your music is 4/2, then in your measure, instead of having quarter notes, you would have 4 half notes. Okay? So that's because then if you take the 4 off, it's 1/2, which is half, right? Okay? So we'll talk more about that as we go on, and you'll see other examples of weird time signatures. But 4/4, know this, is called common time. If you ever hear that, common time, that's referring to 4/4. Because really everything is based off of 4/4 time, right? So in 4/2, we still call this a quarter note. So that's why it's called common time, because everything's based off of 4/4. The quarter note gets its name because of how it functions in 4/4 time. Half note, same thing, okay? So if you see common time, that's just referring to 4/4. Also, sometimes they do this. Instead of putting 4/4, I don't even know why, they'll just do a C So if this is your thing, they could just do after your clef sign. So if it's treble clef, then they could just do a C or something, and that would mean 4/4 because it refers to common time. Okay, but for our purposes, know that 4/4. So kind of drill this in your mind this week. The top number of a time signature refers to the number of beats in a measure. The bottom number tells you what note gets one beat. Okay? So kind of replay that over and over in your mind, just like it is on that. So maybe even like circle right where it says time signature there, and it gives you the 4, and right there on lesson 8, because that's something you'll want to keep kind of referring to so that it stays fresh in your mind. Okay? So, if you look at the example number 1 there on lesson 8, it says clap the rhythm of the notes while counting the beats out loud. I'll do it for you to show you what this is like, okay? So there you don't have because it's just a rhythm and there aren't pitches to it, they don't put the lines of the staff in there, but they still give you the bar line. You see how that is? So that's still telling you the different segments of this. So if you clap it, it would sound like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, does that make sense? So I'm holding it for, like, in that second measure, I'm holding that first one as I say 1 and 2, because the half note's 2 beats. In that third measure, I'm holding it for 4. Okay, let me do it again, just so that we all are clear on that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So, like, if I was singing that, it would be la, 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 la. La 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 la. That makes sense? Okay. So go ahead and do number 2, where it says write 4/4. So all you do is you divide just like here. So in your top 3 lines, do the 4, and then the bottom 3 lines do the other 4. So write your 4/4 in there. You can just do it like this. You don't have to do the fancy little triangle 4 or whatever. I mean, you can't do. And then go ahead and write in the beats underneath of it. They give you, for that first line, they give you the little blanks. The second line they don't, but do it on the second line as well. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. So now this is on the staff. So it's gonna sound, I'll count it and play the notes. So it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So I was saying the beats, but but you heard, like, I didn't play on the half notes. I didn't play it twice. Right? So that first, so it's 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Does that make sense? As you're watching that? This brings up another term that we should talk about. What is the best way for me to get through here? There's too many things up here. You see how that first line ends with just a regular bar line, but that second line ends with something different? That thing at the end is called a double bar line. Write that down in the margin too, because that's another term that you'll need to know. Double bar line. And a double bar line is a really, really thick line. There's my thick line. And then with a regular line in front of it. That's a double bar line. And what is a double? Do you know what a double bar line signifies? The end. Yep. That's the end of the song. So keep going until you see this thing, okay? Just keep going. That's why in that thing, it was 2 lines, but we played through both of them because that first one didn't end in a double bar line, but the bottom one did. Okay? So this page, we added a lot of terms to it that are not on this page. I just want to make sure that we have them because they're important terms. We had measure. We had bar lines. That was kind of on the previous one. We had downbeat, which is the first beat of every measure. Gets a little bit more emphasis than the rest. And then double bar line. I feel like there's something else too. Common time. Yep, common time. So make sure you have all of these things on that page too, okay? I don't know why they didn't do a separate lesson of that, but and then the last exercise on that page is draw a 4/4 time in there, and then draw in where the bar lines go. Okay? So do that a minute. The very bottom one on lesson 8. Uh-huh. Yep.
In an organ, you would have to hold that down, right?
Yep.
Okay, so so somebody can play the piano and the organ, that's got 2 different.
Yep. Yeah, yep. And because when you use a pedal on a piano, that sustains it too, and the organ pedals are notes. So, yeah, you don't. Yep. So let's, on number 3, you've got the numbers written in underneath. Did you do that too? Write the numbers in underneath too, where they go, and the missing bar lines. And then we're all going to clap it together, okay? This is exciting. Okay, you ready to do it? Ready to clap it? So you're going to clap, and clap when the note changes. So that first measure is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And you keep it. So keep your hands together until it's time to do the next beat. Okay? So we'll slow it down a little bit. I'll give you 4. I'll count 4, and then you're in. Okay? Then you do it. So number 3. Yep. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. I'll play it and you count it, okay? All right, so 1, 2, ready, go. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. That makes sense? Good. All right, so that's This is really key. It took us, a little bit more time to do it because it's common time. The next several things are just kind of slight variations of what we just did. Okay.
On number 3, that's the bass clef. Is there a reason why the notes are pointed down where the treble clef, the notes are pointed up?
Yes, and we will get to that. Great question. Yep. Okay. Oh, and actually, it's coming right here. So, lesson 9, basic rhythm, rests, and stems. So, the line on a note is called the stem. Okay. So let's talk about a few things here. A rest is a duration of silence, okay? So it's when it's a gap in between notes, basically, is what. So if I'm singing la, 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 that gap in there when I wasn't making a sound would be signified by one of these arrests, okay? And so you have your quarter beat, but you also have a quarter rest. I'll do it over here. So your quarter rest looks like, it's kind of like a seagull. Kind of, on its side. You're not convinced. That's okay. It's something, but that's what a quarter rest is. And so just like a quarter note, a quarter rest gets one beat. Okay. Then your half rest and your whole rest are similar but different. Oops, whole rest. 4 beats, 2 beats. So your half rest looks like a hat. Okay? So if we're writing it on a staff, I'll do it down here. 2, 3, 4, 5. It's usually just perched right there in the middle on that third line, and it just looks like the line is wearing a hat. That's how I remember half rest hat. Okay, and then and that's always on top of the third line, half rest. Okay, and how many beats does that get? 2. Then you have the whole rest, and it looks like it's a hole in the fourth line. So like you got an imaginary man and he's like walking into the hole. Okay? That's how I remember whole rest. You're not applauding my artwork here. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not hurt. And that's always going to be hanging down from the fourth line. Okay? So that's whole rest. And how many beats does that get? 4. Yep. So let's just say, let's do this. Where's my eraser? So let's just tweak this a little bit. And then let's just do. Okay, does it make sense what I wrote up here? Can you see that? So this is gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that make sense? So if I can remember what I wrote, it would sound like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That make sense? Yeah? Good. So that's how rests function within the notes there. There's a couple exercises there to do, just practicing the quarter rests. There's nothing else in music that looks like a quarter rest, really. So it's not as precise as like the treble clef, the little loop has to be across the G line, or the two dots of a bass clef have to be on the F line. As long as you get something basically that people will know that it's a quarter rest. So don't spend too much time on the artwork of it.
So you're singing, the rest means that there's
No sound. Yep. Yep, and you breathe. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep. So there are like moments, especially in the Easter music that we'll be working on soon, where like everybody rests. And so it's really important. Rests are almost more important than even notes, because it sticks out more if you're singing or playing an instrument when nobody else is, right? So, yes. And you need to take that breath. The breath is very important. Yep. Does that make sense? So then it gives you a couple of rules there about stems at the top of this page. If you're making a note, and then you have to add a stem, whether it's a half note or a quarter note, here are the rules. If the notes are on or above the third line, the stems for half notes and quarter notes are drawn down on the left side of the note head. Okay? So they give you the examples. So if it's third note or higher, stems go down on the left. Any stem that goes down is going to go on the left side, no matter what situation you're in. Then the other side is if the notes are below the middle line, the stems go up and they're on the right side. Okay? And they're usually like, I don't know how you want to view it. It's kind of like 3.5 spaces apart, usually the length. So you see how like the first, like if you've got a note here, and it's gonna go 1, 2, 3, maybe even extend a little bit below 3.5. Kind of that's your ballpark length there to those. Okay, and that will be whatever kind of note that it is. Okay, so down on the left, up on the right. The third line and above goes down on the left, and below the third line, so second space and below, is up on the right. It's just so that it doesn't look weird. So, I mean, because if you have a note up here, to do it like that just is kind of weird. When you do see it, sometimes you will see this rule broken in choral music when they have like sopranos and altos sharing the same line. Sometimes then they'll always have sopranos going up on the right, and even if it's higher like this. So sometimes you will see it, but in general, this is the rule. Okay? Just really so that if you have multiple staves on a page, they don't run into each other. So there's some exercises there that you can do this week. Main thing is knowing. So you'll never ever see a note that looks like that, right? It'll never go up on the left, or you'll never see a note that goes down on the right. That never happens. Never, ever. But then when it goes up could vary on what kind of music it is. But okay. Any questions about that? Does that make sense? Good. We're doing good. So I gave you just a couple of pages here of at-home practice to do. 2 pages here. Maybe. Let's just do that last one together, the 6106. You see where that is? Let's just clap that together, just so that we're on the same page. This has no rests. It's just the notes. So actually, let's go up one. Let's do 6104 because it has some rests in it. 6104. Okay, you see where that one is? All right, so 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 6104. 6104. So it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth one down. Okay.
Could you play it out on the piano?
6104.
Yeah, sometimes it, like, when you clap it out, it sounds the same, right? Like a half note and then a half note plus
Oh, because it's, yeah, when you clap it, that's more of like the visual of keeping your hands together when it's a half note and then spreading them apart when it's a rest. So it's not really heard as much. But yeah, so 6104 played is 1, 2. You clap it while I play it, okay? 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. That good? Let's do the same thing with the next one. 6105. 6105. I'll play it. You clap it and speak. Don't be afraid to speak out the numbers. Okay. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. That's really good. That was really, really good. Unless, I mean, I couldn't see you guys over on this side, so maybe you weren't doing anything, but it's not, I couldn't hear a mistake. So spend some time this week really going through these two sheets, write in the numbers just as it says for the notes and the rest, and then practice clapping those, okay? So again, when you have a note that's 2 or 4 beats, keep your hands together and then split them apart when it's a rest, like that, okay? Does that make sense with that? Yes.
It seems like we're doing nothing when we're either on a rest or we're on the last 3 notes of a whole note. What's really the difference there? Is it that we're holding out the note,
Yep.
but there's silence when there's a rest?
Yes. Yep. So let's actually, that's a good question. Let's go back and do that 6105. Let's do that 6105 one and just sing la, la. Ready? Let's just do that together and just sing it. So 1, 2, ready, go. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Good. Excellent. So then let's look at lesson 10 here for a minute. So now we've got 3-4, the time signature 3-4. Same thing as 4-4, except instead of your top number being a 4, now it's 3. So that means instead of having 4 beats in the measure, now you have 3 beats in the measure. So what will you never see in 3-4 time? What note? A whole note, right? A whole note gets 4 beats. You're never going to have a measure with 4 beats, so you'll never see a whole note in there. What you will see is our friend, the dotted half note. We were so afraid because we didn't have anything right here for 3. Now we do. It's called the dotted half note. Really clever and original, right? It's a half note with a dot next to it, and it's called the dotted half note. How about that? Real. And we say musicians are artistic. So you see that at the top of your page there, off to the right there. Here's the thing about a dot next to a note. A dot next to a note always adds half of the note's value to it. Okay? So, because a half note is 2 beats, what's half of 2? 1. So add 2 plus 1 equals 3. Okay? Just for an example, because to get this point home, we will talk more about this note later, but there is also a dotted quarter note. How many beats does a dotted quarter note get? 1.5. Yep, because a quarter note gets 1 beat. Half of 1 is a half. So you add that to the 1, and you have a dotted quarter note, 1.5 beats. We'll talk more about that one later. But just for now, know that a dotted half note gets 3 beats. And it's really important to know that the dot is next to the note, not below the note. That's something completely different that we may or may not talk about in this class, but know that the dot has to go next to the note. Okay?
Maybe it's helpful that the waltz is typically written in 3/4.
Yep.
Dum, 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 dum,
Yep.
dum.
Yeah, a lot of the dances. So 1, 2, 3, 1. This is where you really feel the downbeat thing, right? So we're in 4/4 common time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the 3/4 gets a little bit more dance-like. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So let's look at number 3 on this page and clap that one together. Number 3, okay? I meant to give you like sticks or something to clap. Next week I'll give you instruments. It'll be exciting. So number 3, let's clap that, okay? So this is just 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That makes sense? Do it one more time just to here, I'll play it while you clap it. I really need a gap in there so I don't have to run around here, but burning the cows, that's fine. I'll have another piece of Kringle. So write number 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yep. That makes sense? For some reason, I always go up that side and down this side. That's just creature of habit. Any questions on that 3/4? See how I mean? Like, once you get 4/4, the kind of the other ones kind of fall into place here. Yeah, we've got time. Well, you ready for more? Yes. You ready for more? So the next one is, it says lesson 12. We're treating it as if it's 11. We're doing those two in different order. So this is the eighth notes one, right? Where it says eighth notes. So we're introducing you to another note. An eighth note is like a quarter note, but it's with a flag on it. Let's see here. We'll go down here. An eighth note has a flag on it. If you have 2 or more eighth notes together, sometimes they have a beam connecting them rather than the flag. Be like that. So it's confusing because an eighth note does not get an eighth of a beat. It gets a half of a beat. So the reason why it functions, that's why we emphasize common time in 4/4, because an eighth note gets half of a beat, but it's functioning as if it's like an eighth of the measure. Okay, so that's why it gets its name, the eighth. So again, it's all the math, but just know that an eighth note gets half a beat. Okay, And so when we count this, we don't, because when you're clapping it, you don't have enough time to say 1 half, 1 and a half, 1 half, or whatever. So we say 1 and. So every eighth note gets an and. So if you have a measure, so let's go back to 4/4 time. We'll have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you could see it written like that, okay? And yeah, I did it in 4/4. So how that would be counted and clapped would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah. So if your quarter note is 1, 2, 3, 4, your eighth note would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So two of these takes up the same amount of time as a quarter note. Okay. So that's why it's really important to have that steady beat, so that you don't rush it, or that you give it the same amount of time in relationship to any other notes around it.
Why would it be important to have eighth notes instead of just do a quarter note?
Because
If you had two of them next to each other, it's like, wouldn't it hold the same thing if you're playing it?
Because of how they all relate to each other. So because it's faster. It's faster. So if you have if you have quarter notes in a measure, 1, 2, 3, 4, but you do that same speed, but with eighth notes, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So your beat is still, if I do my beat on my leg, and then on this side I do the eighth notes, it would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Does that make sense? Yeah. A little hoedown, that's fine. I can't do that. And again, the way that we'll save that for a different time. But just know that it's 1 and 2. And so if you go look at let's look at number 1. And I'm going to tell you to change something than how they have it on the sheet. In order to keep the right tempo, the steady beat we call it, to make sure that we don't rush or go fast, to make sure that we give everything its due amount of time it's deserved. When you count with eighth notes, count every and, just only clap on the and. So like in the first measure there of number 4, after 3 and after 4, put an and after it too. They don't have it there, and that can be really confusing if you don't have that, because that first measure should be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? Both. Yep. So in order to keep everything even and uniform, do the ands after everything, because otherwise your tendency would be to do 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, or something like that. So it just keeps it consistent. So as you're numbering these, even if they don't have a space for the plus sign as they have it notated, put it in there for every beat, just so that everything lines up. Okay. So let's clap together all of number 1. Okay. Let's clap all of number 1. 1. Oh, sorry. I'll give you the count off. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? Let's do that one more time. One more time. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So maybe it might help to write in the ands after everything, just to make sure that you stay on there. See what I mean? I wish they would have put that in there for you, because it just makes it way easier. Try it one more time. I'll slow it down. I'll slow it down too, okay? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? It's 2 beats, but when we're counting the ands, it's really we say 4 things, because we're now doing the 1 and 2 and. So all of the and, so 1 beat when you're counting eighth notes is 1 and. So you say 2 things even though you're doing the quarter note, because the eighth note is half a beat. So in order to get all of those, you have to do. So if I do 1, 2, here's your eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we're doing twice as much here than we were doing here, if that makes sense. Okay? So let me do it. Let me count. Let me clap for you, number 1, without saying the ands. I'll just count the beats, okay? So see if this tracks. So if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that make sense? That's really when you're counting beats, that's what you'll do. But for us just to get the understanding of what an eighth note is, that is half of the beat, we'll count the ands, okay? All right, so I will leave you with that. You can look at the rest of this. We didn't even get to any of my games. I have games, so make sure you come back next week. No, that's not a sell. But
Do these at the Iwata Circle?
yes. So there are pages, there are exercises. Try not to look ahead, okay? If don't go ahead. Don't do anything that we haven't covered yet. Just go back and look through the pages that we have, okay? Because I don't want to get ahead and get confused with anything. So.
We then go, we continue with lesson 8 next time, 11 next time.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll review, and then we'll start with 11. But you can finish pages through page 12, or your lesson 12, since we're doing those out of order. Okay. All right. Well, let me pray for us, and we'll be done. God, you're so good, and you're so good to give us something like music that has been used as a vehicle to worship you. So even as we're learning the jargon, and we're learning rhythms and all these technical things, Lord, we ultimately want this to be something that we use to glorify you and to worship you better. So help us even this week as we go through these notes. Maybe we're confused about something, and just pray that you would help us as we continue to go on these next 3 weeks. I thank you for each person here tonight, and pray that you would bless them as they go home now. And I pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen. All right, so I won't shame you, but really take the Kringle home, okay? And don't leave a piece for me.